Well, welcome to 284 Media's Just for the Record. I am your host, Kamal Haynes, and today I will be interviewing the incumbent 8th District candidate, Honorable Marlon Penn. Well, Penn, who is the Present Minister for Health and Social Development, will be contesting this upcoming general election under the National Democratic Party, of which he is the chairman. Well, on today's episode, we will be asking Honorable Penn some of the tough questions that need answers. Well, stay tuned right after this break.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on popular.
Rashford made it, Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
We now return with more Just for the Record. Welcome, Honorable Penn, and thank you so much for joining us on Just for the Record.
Thank you, Kamal, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to just speak with you and the people of the Virgin Islands and the people of the 8th District about our vision for the way forward for this country.
Okay, so let's first start. We want to start with a question. This is a question I tend to ask most candidates. Just give us a little bit of some history of your academic training and professional career.
Well, Kamal, I went to public school, through the public school system in the Virgin Islands. I went through the Eastern Primary School, through the BVI High School, H. Community College, and I had my bachelor's in Management Information Systems from Temple University in Philadelphia, where I then came back home and worked for financial services for over 15 years before I got involved in politics.
Okay. And what would you say is your purpose in life, firstly?
For me, that's an interesting question. For me, my purpose is just to do good for myself, my family, for my community. I've always been a community-minded individual. I always live by a biblical principle that who much is given, much is expected. I believe that persons like myself, who our community has given so much to, have a responsibility to give back to the community in which nurtured, developed, and grew them. And that's always been my focus, my drive, is love for my community, love for my people.
Okay. And how does that align with being a politician?
It aligns very well because you tend to make decisions, you think twice before you make decisions and how it's going to affect the people for which you represent. And I believe that I have always been someone who always think about my community and the people I represent first before I make any decision. I'm very thoughtful in my approach in terms of how I go about making decisions that impacts the life of the people in the country going forward. Okay.
And you have served your community and the people of the territory for the last 12 years.
Yes.
What have you done for the people during that period?
Done a lot for the people, actually, Kamal. In fact, many of the infrastructural work that we've done in the community have happened under my watch. We've done major road improvements. We've done improvements that open up economic opportunity for our people. The work that we've done after the storms of 2017 to open up the Long Bay Beach and open up tourism to our community. We started a heritage tourism project that has allowed for many vendors to get opportunities to show their craft and showcase our history, our rich culture and history and heritage within the Eastern Long community, as well as the Long Bay Beach development that we've now moved to the next phase where we're going to expand that development some more, create more business opportunities for persons. That development or that opening up of that opportunity has allowed us to create more than, I think, is over 70 jobs and businesses for persons within our community. That's economic empowerment. And I think my objective has always been, how can I empower the people of my community to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and not have to depend on government to move things forward. We're looking at sports tourism. We just had an international match in town just yesterday with Puerto Rico and the BVI and football, through the Football Federation. We have built a stadium in the Eastern Long community. Once that is completed, that is going to bring untold economic opportunities for our community as well as socioeconomic opportunities where persons could then have opportunity to exercise, get themselves back into fitness. There's a track that's going to be around that facility. And as well, there's going to be opportunities for international matches that will be hosted in our community. That means more money for businesses, the guest houses, the restaurants, the entertainment spaces, just more money for the entire territory, because people are going to explore the BVI, and that creates more opportunities for us overall as a territory.
Okay. And what about those persons who would have said within the past 12 years that the state of the 8th district has not improved? What would you say you have done in your time specific to the 8th district for those persons that have such to say?
I'll say that's an unfair statement, an inaccurate statement actually, because I believe that I know that the work that we've done has transformed our community. Is there more work to be done? Of course, there's always more work to be done, but it's a continuous process of improvement in terms of our community. We have developed through our platform a series of ideas and a vision for our community, and in fact, in this entire territory, how we're going to continuously progress to improvement of not just the 8th district, but an improvement of the entire territory. We need to have a process of maintenance, ongoing road maintenance units within the communities that focuses on the specific concerns of the road, the infrastructure, the social issues within the community. I have brought forward the first in this territory, a district council, which in 2011, when I was first elected, we started the process of a district council. We're going to crystallize that vision in terms of structure and funding that would govern how the district councils would function within the communities. That would then create an opportunity where the community has a direct impact in terms of the work that is being done in the community, and they have an ownership stake in moving some of the major issues or the concerns that they have as a community forward with funding to get them executed. So we've done tremendous amount of work. There's still more work to be done. That's why I'm running again, to continue the work, good work that we've done to improve our infrastructure, to create the economic opportunities within our community, and just to empower people to be self-sufficient and do as they can moving forward, do as much as they can moving forward to protect themselves, improve their lives and the lives of themselves and their family.
Okay. And why should the people of the territory re-elect you as 8th district candidate, and on what do you bring that is better or different than your opponent in the 8th district?
I'll answer the question this way, Kamal. I'm an athlete, former athlete. And when I was involved in track, I always ran my own race. Never worried about my opponent, ran my own race. What I bring to the table is a level of skills, a level of experience in the political arena, and how the government works, in the process of how government works. And I know where the issues are, how we could fix and improve those systems within government so they could be more effective to bring real change to the community and the territory overall. We've assembled a group of men and women who we believe have the skill sets, have the ability, and have the love and drive for the country and the people to get those things changed and bring real sustainable change to the people of this country. And under my leadership, we will achieve it. Okay.
And is there any specific area of focus that you will be seeking to manage or resolve if elected?
Well, the issue of the economy is paramount. We've gone through one of the most difficult periods in the history of the BVI. We had the hurricanes of 2017 and the floods prior to that. We had the COVID-19 pandemic and the challenges that presented for us as a territory. And I like to say we had Hurricane Andrew and the challenges of the former premier being arrested in Miami, and the socioeconomic challenges and just the reputational damage that has done to the brand BVI. We have to restore our brand. We have to restore confidence in BVI. Our international relationships have been tainted and damaged. We have to rebuild those things as well. So we are going to work on fixing our image, one, international relationship with the UK and other actors. We have to fix the economic challenges that we have. We have not had a proper engagement with the private sector, particularly our tourism industry. We as a House of Assembly have not had one meeting as a House with the financial services industry. What is critical, we're going through now a mutual evaluation, but we haven't had the level of engagement that we need between the legislators and the industry to ensure that we're all on the same page in terms of how we want to move that industry forward. That industry is consistently under threats, and we need to find ways, legislators, the people, the industry, in terms of how we could preserve that industry and make it more stronger, more robust, and more fit for purpose based on the challenges that we face as a country. And the same is true for tourism. And we're going to work collaboratively with the industry and the private sector to ensure that we are building a product that everyone wants to come to. When they come here, there are things for them to do, that you maximize the dollars spent within the economy, that all Virgin Islanders have a chance to benefit from these economic activities that happen within our territory. So we're going to tackle the economy, work on our reputation, and start to build and work on moving our people along for the right in terms of what we're doing, in terms of the forward movement of this country.
Okay, you just touched on tourism just now. Is the second largest income earner for the territory. Obviously next to the financial services industry. What are some of the plans? We do know during the COVID-19 pandemic, you would have been lobbying as it relates to the number of plans that you wanted to release to the public, that you did release to the public.
Exactly.
What are some of the plans that you have in store, if elected, to revive tourism in the territory where it's possibly booming 365 days a year? We'll be right back with more Just for the Record after this short break.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, I can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What do you really? Hey, this ain't like you, know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
We now return with more Just for the Record. What are some of the plans that you have in store, if elected, to revive tourism in the territory where it's possibly booming 365 days a year?
First of all, we have to have events. We have to put together calendar events for the industry. We don't have enough things for persons to do when it comes to the territory as it relates to tourism. And we have to, in order to get that done, you have to have a level of engagement with the industry. I don't see that engagement happening on a regular basis. We now have the situation where we're now about to receive direct flights from Miami. We have to now parlay that to a fact where, what are people coming to the BVI to do? What are the things that would excite persons to come to our territory? And that's where we need to start to put on a series of events and things that could help us through that process. Sports tourism, a big area. We expect to finish the stadium in East End within 8 to 12 months. Once that is completed, that, as I said earlier, presents untold opportunities for us as a country to market ourselves. We have the field in Greenland where we want to expand that in terms of the cricket opportunities over there, as well as all the other sporting opportunities. We want to create an environment where persons want to come to the BVI, enjoy the sports, but also enjoy what we have to offer as a territory. Through events, through our natural culture, through our natural beauty. We just need to sell the BVI more than we've been doing over the last 4 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm. And we do know you are the current Minister for Health and Social Development. You are also a former Minister of Health and Social Development under the NDP administration as well. Should you be elected, as it relates, is there any particular ministries that you will be focused on under your portfolio, considering that usually the chairman is ordinarily the premier and ordinarily would take the Minister of Finance, the Ministry of Finance under their portfolio?
Well, I'll take it one step at a time. We have to go through election first. And I believe that we are poised to go through this election and be victorious. We know as a party we have the best ideas and the plans to move this country forward. We've sat down for the last 2.5 years and developed a series of solutions. And we're going to run a solutions-oriented election campaign that focuses on the people and how we can improve the lives of the people and the lives of the infrastructure of this territory, the lives of the health systems in this territory, and ensure that we build a system that is robust, that our people will benefit from. So we're focused on just bringing to the people first and foremost our ideas for moving this country forward. We know once that people are listening, and I get the sense that people are listening and they want to hear solutions. The last 4 years have brought a sense of hopelessness to this country and to the people of this country. We're here to inspire and bring hope. Not the same political rhetoric, but bring hope based on our solutions and our vision for moving the country forward.
Okay, so is it safe to assume, based off your response, that presently the plan isn't, well, there isn't any real thoughts as it relates to what ministry you would host should you be?
No, I think once we get over that hump, we'll decide those things. Sometimes you have to make sure that persons are in the areas where the skill sets best suit. And I believe that has to be the way forward in terms of the way that we govern. We can't just focus on what's traditionally done, but what focus on how people are best suited to govern and help move the agenda forward.
And what are your thoughts as it relates to the premier being elected by the people?
Well, that has to be a constitutional change. If the people decide that that is what they want, then we have to, as a democratic society, we have to respect the voice and views of the people. I have no difficulty if that's what the people want, that we need to change and make the adjustments to make that happen. But as it is right now, the system that exists is the premier is chosen from among the majority of members in the House. Okay.
My next question is, what are your professional plans if you are not elected?
Well, I have a lot of goals and ideas and ideals to move forward. I've always been in the business development space. It's something that I love. It's something I love doing. I love working with people. I've always been someone that loves engagement of people. But I'm not thinking about that right now. My focus is going through the election, getting elected, and continuing the good work that we started in the 8th District and the work that we want to do for the people of this territory moving forward.
Okay. Well, do you see the current situation at the Popwood Pond Waste Management site as a threat to the health of residents in the surrounding districts?
It's a concern. It's been a serious concern for me as Minister of Health. That's why when I took office, one of the first acts was to really get a handle of what is going on and getting that system back up and running and ensuring that we control as much as we could what is happening there in terms of the burning, the combustion that happens, spontaneous combustion that happens from time to time, to really try to manage that as much as we can. What we have done is that we finalized the waste management strategy that we developed in consultation with the RDA to look at a comprehensive approach to waste management in the territory. We have brought that paper before Cabinet. The next step now is implementation through public consultation. We've engaged international partners to see where we can get the funding to make the implementation of that process a reality. So we have looked at a comprehensive approach, not just the issue at hand, but a more long-term solution and a more sustainable solution for the way that we manage waste going forward.
And then you talked about strategy and a long-term solution, but what about a short-term fix, considering that on a day-to-day basis, there's constant burning at that facility, there's still no update, no real update since you would have taken office as it pertains to the incinerator. What could you do different if we're elected to resolve this issue?
No, there have been updates. We've given updates in terms of where we are in the process. We're in the final step where we have one component that's left to be built and shipped, which is the control panel, which is the brain of the current incinerator. The plan is to get an additional incinerator bought and installed, so you have redundancy in terms of how you incinerate the combustibles at the Popwood Pond plant. So we're moving as fast as we could in terms of the constraints that we have in terms of the issue with getting components built. It's a lot longer than it would be under normal circumstances. But my heart aches every day for the persons who have to endure the challenges that we experience on our Popwood Pond on a daily basis. But we're moving to get those things resolved.
Okay, my next question, should the NDP government be elected, will this be a priority on your list?
Of course it's a priority. It's the number one priority for us moving forward. As I said, we've already moved forward the waste management strategy. We'll move to get that funded and implemented. But we need to have the level of redundancy that we need to really protect the persons within our community. And also we need to have, as I said, a long-term strategy is critical for us to manage our waste in this country responsibly. Okay, my next question is on the issue of sewage. What is your view on the current sewage issue in the territory? My view is simpler. We've used sewage too often as a political football. Sewage needs to be is a national issue, a national concern. That has to be put as a national priority. And I believe sewage, just like we did with the school, with the RDA, it needs to be placed in an agency like the RDA. My view is to move from the RDA and develop a national development agency. We've passed the stage of recovery. We need to look at the forward development of our country. So we need to restructure the RDA to facilitate ongoing national development strategy. And the sewage needs to be one of those issues that is placed within a national development agency that we could move forward and move it in a tangible, in a structured way versus the political interference that comes into play as it relates to this subject. Okay, and as it relates to the sewage issue, you have been part of the national unity government over the last few months. With that knowledge, you would have seen from obviously being as part of the government moving forward, if elected under the NDP administration,
how long do you think it will actually take to finally resolve sewage in the territory?
I think it won't take long. Once it's put in a national agency, a development agency, we took less than a year to build a brand new school from scratch. Once you have a properly resourced project within the National Development Agency, it will be resolved. I think I saw over the last 5 budgets, sewage became a political football. Even with me being in the National Unity Government, not one job or one advancement has been done within my district, the A district, related to sewage. We had a launch of that project in 2020. And we're still here 2023, and not one project was executed over 5 budgets. And the monies are there. The monies that they continue to speak about that was taken from the pay pack, $6+ million of that money was returned to central government. The money is there to get the project moving, but again, the politics continues to stymie the growth and movement of this country. We have to take politics out of some of these national priorities and make sure that there's an agency that's responsible for executing them and make sure that they move forward in the best interest of the people in the country.
And do you think if elected that you could finally resolve this issue once and for all?
I know I will resolve this issue once and for all. The most work that has ever been done in my community under this project has been done during my first 2 terms in office when I was in the government, because there was a commitment to get it done. The same commitment did not exist under the last administration.
Okay. So my next question is on, as it relates to the recently concluded Commission of Inquiry. What is your views on that?
I think we, as a government of national unity, we got together. We made some commitments to move certain elements of the agenda forward. I'm still committed to moving those things that I believe that are in the best interest of the country moving forward. I think reform is necessary. The way that we've been operating and doing business cannot continue. It's not sustainable, and we see the pitfalls of some of those behaviors. Saying all of that, the country has already also done some really good things as a country moving forward. We have a good record of getting things done. We just have to build on the good things that we've done, and where we've fallen short, we have to make the adjustments and do the reforms necessary to move forward.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, according to the agreement under the National Unity Government, the next elected government will be tasked to continue with the implementation of the COI recommendations. Now, how would you be of value to that effort?
I'll be of value because I was part of the process. So I understand a lot of the discussions and the origin of the discussions. There are areas that we need to have adjustments, and I believe that a responsible government and a responsible partnership should require for conversation and adjustments when adjustments are needed. And we will have those discussions with the United Kingdom about the way forward and how we adjust and ensure that we get the best implemented changes for the people of this country and for the systems to ensure that there's some sustainability in the way that the system works and operates.
Mm-hmm. And my next question, recently you would have made a statement alluding to the fact that it was on the backs of yourself and Honorable Turnbull as it relates to the acceptance of the framework to address the concerns from the COI recommendation. How can you, in terms of just expand more on that so people have more insight, because they're of the opinion, you know, that through the leadership of the Honorable Natalia Wheatley, our Premier, that, you know, it would have been himself and other members of his party, etc., that would have, and Honorable Fraser too as well, that would have contributed to that framework being accepted. We'll be right back with more Just for the Record after this short break. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites.
It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
Research with Beyond the Reef. Today, we are doing shark research. So today, we are doing whale research with Beyond the Reef. And wherever I go, I take CCT with me because my life is unlimited.
We now return with more Just for the Record. Recently, you would have made a statement alluding to the fact that it was on the backs of yourself and Honorable Turnbull as it relates to the acceptance of the framework to address the concerns from the COI recommendation. How could you, in terms of just expand more on that so people have more insight, because they're of the opinion, you know, that through the leadership of Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley, our Premier, that, you know, it would have been himself and other members of his party, etc., that would have, and Honorable Fraser too as well, that would have contributed to that framework being accepted.
Yeah. Well, that's false. I think the reality is that the Premier had a plan. He went to the governor, he went in the UK minister at the time with a plan, and his plan was to reconstitute within his own party, the team members that were there, and we form a government. They had the majority, and they could have done that if it was allowed, and it was rejected. They lacked the credibility to move forward in terms of based on what was happening, not just with the rest of the Premier, but a series of things that happened prior to that. They lacked the credibility. My team and I went through the weekend into the night working on a strategy to move forward in terms of how we believe is the best approach for us to avoid a suspension of our Constitution, but to get to a place where we could work collaboratively to get the reforms done, get them implemented, start the process, but more importantly, get us to a general elections so the people could decide who they want the leadership to be of their country moving forward. And we did that. And that was accepted based on my credibility and the credibility of the member for Second, and Minister of Natural Resources and Labour. We took a personal sacrifice, and I'll do it again because it's important that we do sacrifice in politics. It's not about our own personal ambitions and our personal needs or want, but what is the best interest of the country moving forward. And we did that because we wanted to ensure that we had put in a position where our Constitution was not suspended and that we could get to another general election so the people of this country could preserve and retain the democratic right to vote and elect the leadership that they want to see in their country.
Okay, so in other words, could viewers assume that had there not been a decision to have a national unity government as it relates to you and Turnbull joining the overall party, well, not the party, but joining government, there would have potentially been a suspension of the BVI's constitution?
That's a fair assumption, because the reality is that their proposal was rejected for them to reconstitute because they lacked the credibility to move forward.
Okay. So my next question is on in terms of a critique that's usually given to politicians, where people usually criticize politicians and view them as only seeking leadership for personal and often financial benefits. What is your view on this statement?
I can't speak for all politicians, but I could speak for myself. I have come into politics not to enrich myself, but to improve the lives of the people of the community which I represent, and the lives of the people in this territory. I've always thought about the big picture and what is in the best interest of the country, always in terms of the decision making that I take on a daily basis. And I will continue to do so. My focus is developing my country. I think I have a set of skills that goes well in terms of improving the lives and the systems within government. When I was Junior Minister for Trade and Economic Development, I worked tirelessly to get the Trade Commission, Consumer Protection Legislation, Investment Promotion Agency, and the New Business License Act in place so that we could have a robust infrastructure, legal framework and infrastructure to help drive the business sector and the development of the business sector in this territory. When I was there as well, I worked on the e-government strategy, where we developed what you call the single portal, internal and external portal, which saved the government at the time over $5 million a year just by that one single decision that we made to consolidate all government websites. And I did that free. I did that using my skill sets, my knowledge and my ability to give back to my country, to find ways to make the system work better for the people of this country. And that's always been me. I've been a selfless person that gives back to my country, not for financial gain, not for fame, because I don't like to promote all the things that I do. It's not a good look for a politician. You have to promote yourself. But I believe I do it. It doesn't matter to me who gets the credit. Once the country benefits, that's all that matters to me.
Okay. We do know that cost of living in the territory has been a major issue, especially when it comes to minimum wage in the BVI. How do you view the cost of living in the territory and minimum wage? Will your government, if elected, seek to lower in terms of the cost of living in the territory as well as increase the minimum wage?
Well, the last study that was done on this was done by the NB administration. We're the ones that looked at all the things that went into the issue of cost of living, the issue of how we can adjust the minimum wage, and we made some adjustment to the minimum wage at that time. It's due for another review, and I assure you that we will look at all avenues and all the possibilities to ensure that we look at how we can manage the cost of living in this territory and where possible, improve and increase the minimum wage in the BVI.
Mm-hmm. And what about as it relates to the cost of living generally, with prices all over the place, ranging from rent to petrol to goods within the supermarket? How do you plan on addressing this issue?
A lot of those things we have no control over in terms of the import duty and issues and inflation. Externally, BVI imports more than 90% of what it consumes. One of the areas that we've focused on is ensuring that we have what we call a plan for food security. We're looking at particularly the poultry area is one area that we could start. I believe we have the capacity right now, based on the number of chickens that are being raised and produced in the territory, to be able to be self-sufficient within that space. We now have to ensure that the right subsidies are put in place to make sure that the persons who are growing, processing poultry in our territory are able to compete with the imports that are coming into the territory. You can have an imbalance in terms of local production having to compete with imports that is duty-free, and they don't have the same concessions that the imports have. We have to give the right concession. But we also have to ensure that there are systems in place that when government gives concession, particularly on food fuels concession, import concessions, duty concessions, that they're not used to pad the balance sheets of other businesses, that those concessions are passed on in an equitable way to the consumer so that the consumers could feel the benefit from those concessions. Because we're going through foregoing taxpayers' dollars to give those concessions so that the consumer could get a direct benefit from it. So we have to be more targeted. So I said there are several ways that we're going to tackle this, but I believe that we have to look at it, as I've always said, in a more comprehensive approach, because a piecemeal approach will not work. Because we have to ensure that we maximize the taxpayer dollars to give the maximum benefit to the consumer.
Mm-hmm. And what about those persons, those residents who would say, for example, that the legislation is being passed, but the respective commissions not being established? How do you seek to address these concerns moving forward as it relates to finally establishing these commissions and these respective boards and bodies to have them actually operational in the territory?
We have a track record of getting it done, Kamal. The RDA was an idea that birthed under the National Democratic Party. It's an idea that we implemented, an idea that we move forward. When we have these ideas and we move them forward, we are implementers. We've always been a party of implementers. The VIP government have proven that it cannot implement. They've passed a series of legislation. More than 80% or more than, I'm sure it's as high as 90% of them have not been implemented. A lot of the commissions are not functioning. The Trade Commission, they met a package, a suite of legislation already developed. All they had to do was pass the legislation and implement them. We're still now on the heels of a general election, and we still don't have a functioning Trade Commission to deal with the economic challenges of our country. We will get it done. We have a history of getting things done, and we're a party and a team of persons who implement and move the agenda forward.
Okay, my next question. Gun violence in the BVI has been a growing concern within the last few years. What is your position on gun violence, and how would you seek to address this growing issue, which have also impacted your district?
Yes, it's a personal thing for me, Kamal. I mean, one of the last murders happened, two or three of the last murders happened within the Eastern Long community, a community which I frequent, a community which is home to me, and I'm very deeply concerned. We need a national strategy on crime. We're going through the constitutional review now, and I believe that we need to expand the National Security Council. The National Security Council needs to include more individuals, not just the governor, the chief of police, the premier, and the deputy premier. It has to include the opposition as well. It has to include civil society. We all have a stake in crime in this territory. So we need to make sure that every voice is heard in terms of the strategy that we're going to take to moving forward to deal with the issue of crime in our territory. And we have to find ways to show our young people that there are other opportunities to make a living in the territory. We have to be able to teach the issue of conflict resolution. We can't always resolve conflicts through the barrel of a gun. You know, we need to figure out ways of having proper conversations with our children, our boys, our girls, about a way forward and what we want to see for our Virgin Islands to decrease the level of involvement in criminal activities in this territory.
Okay. And my final question, where do you see the BVI in the next 10 to 20 years?
I'm bullish about the BVI. I see the BVI being a very robust, continue to build on the financial services industry. I see tourism being very robust with the plans and ideas that are coming forward from the National Democratic Party. I see that we are going to explore and exploit new industries, particularly the fishing and farming industry. I see potential, tremendous potential in those areas. I see us putting in place the authority that's necessary to drive fishing and farming in this territory and building the infrastructure to facilitate the harvesting of the products and the harvesting of the fish products and making sure we, first of all, be able to supply all the fish needs that we need in the territory and then look at exporting to external markets. I see great possibilities for us as a country, and I'm excited to go on that ride with the people of the Virgin Islands, the people of the 8th District, as we work collaboratively to build and grow this economy.
Okay, well, I want to thank you, Honorable Penn, for joining us here on Just for the Record.
Thank you, Kamal, and I look forward to more conversation with you and the people of the Virgin Islands.
Okay, thank you. Viewers, that's all we have for today's Just for the Record. Obviously, we want to thank Penn, Honorable Penn, for joining us here. Until next time, I'm Kamal Haynes. I hope you enjoy the content. Bye-bye. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.